Raise your hand if you like chips. Well, I've got some amazing hacks for you using Dollar Tree chip cans. Hey Bestie, this is Lisa. Welcome or welcome back. If you want to craft your best life with me, then let's get started right now. For this chip can hack, I'm going to take one chip can and I'm going to use some rope and some bamboo skewers from the Dollar Tree. Now, this flavor, by the way, was really good and spicy if you like that. I'm going to take the chips, I'm just going to put them in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to clean out the entire thing. I didn't have any already at home. And then I just traced a half circle roughly and I cut it out with my little box cutter. And I'm just going to pull that whole thing out of there very carefully. Next, I'm going to take my skewers and I'm going to measure and see for the tallest part, so that's without the little opening I cut, how long it would need to be to cover it. And then I'm going to use one as my guide and I'm going to cut a whole bunch more until I have them all. I'm going to take some hot glue. I'm just going to attach that first one. Now, the first one's a little tricky because you do want to make sure it's straight. So normally I would just do the straight line against it, but the first one you've got to do a little more carefully. So there you go. You can see I've added a whole bunch until I got to the point where that little cutout is. It almost looks like a little mouse hole, doesn't it? So I just cut those individually based on the size. It's okay if they look a little jaggedy right there because we're going to cover that up. Next, we're going to take some Antique Wax by Waverly and I'm going to take a stenciling brush because I want it to not be like a solid coverage. I want it to look really cool like that, but you could take any color you want. I just wanted to go with the Antique Wax look. Next, I'm going to take that little bit of rope that I have, or twine, I guess you would say this is probably thin enough to be twine, and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around and make that little half circle kind of shape. And I'll do that a couple times to make sure I cover all the rough edges of the skewer sticks. I'm also going to put it down on the bottom to cover the metal, and I'm going to go all the way around several times just to give it a finished look. So there you go. You can see how I've done that. And I just hot glue that on and cut it off. I'm also going to do it to the top and make it a little bit thicker. You could do this any design or pattern that you like. Now I'm going to take some burlap. I believe that's from either Walmart or the Dollar Tree. And I can't get the full circle of the cap, but I can get part of it. So I'm just going to cut that out. I'm looking back. I will say I wish that I had just done 2 pieces and covered the whole thing because now I've got that gap. And of course I take my rope and I put it on and it just doesn't lay the way I want it to. So my recommendation is cut 2 pieces just like this. Do them like a crisscross and that will cover the whole cap, and that's all you'd really have to do. Maybe circle it with the rope instead of what I'm about to do, which is a little wonky, I admit it. But none of us are perfect here, right? So we all have our moments. Anyway, I just wrapped that rope or twine all the way around that lid on the sides, and now I've got a little lid, like a wooden knob that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I just glued that to the top. I left it natural wood, and I'm putting in my trash bags, and this is going to be a trash bag holder. And I thought this was so cute. I saw it on, I think it was Pinterest, and I thought, I've got to make this. This is adorable. And what a nice way to store them, especially if you need them in a place like your craft room, so they're right by your craft table. What do you think? For this Dollar Tree chip can hack, I'm going to take part of a chip can. I didn't need the whole thing, so let's say it's about, 2/3 of it. And I'm going to pick some scrapbook paper that I really like. I love fleur-de-lis. What about you? Do you guys like fleur-de-lis too? And I'm just going to start Mod Podging. I cut a piece that I knew would fit, the length of it, and then we can always cut off the excess as far as we're going around. So you go very slowly, do it in small sections so you can line it up and it doesn't get off kilter, which happens very easily. So once you get it where you want it, then cut off your excess and Mod Podge that down. And now I'm just going to go in and I'm kind of just trimming around like little pieces. You see what I did there? I'm going to put Mod Podge underneath, and that way I can fold them over and make a nice smooth edge. Now what I forgot to show you is I did cut a slit out the size of my cell phone, a little bigger than that. I guess I forgot to film that, but you see here, I'm going to expose it now, cutting through the scrapbook paper. So you'll put that basically not quite in the middle, maybe about 2/3 of the way down on this little can. So now I'm just going to make sure that there are no pieces on the inside that are going to not be able to stick. So I've pushed that through by cutting the slit with my blade, and I've already put the Mod Podge in there. So now I can push it up and it will stick up against the inside of the can. You see how I'm doing that there? And now I'm just going to go back in and make sure that everything is laying flat, that there's plenty of Mod Podge. And if you don't want to get your fingers full of Mod Podge, you can always put some gloves on. Now I've got my plaster paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to do around the edges to kind of clean up that metal. I'm going to take 2 corks for legs. You could use Jenga blocks if you wanted to. I just had some corks. I thought that was pretty. And there you go. What we have here is a little speaker for your phone. You just set it in, turn it on, and the sound is amplified. And it's so cheap and easy to make. Let me know what you think. For this chip can hack, I've got another chip, and this is my favorite, sour cream and onion, yum. Anyway, I've got this toile, which somebody finally reminded me what it was called. It's a French type of a pattern, and this is contact paper that I got at the Dollar Tree. I've used this before. And I'm going to cut a piece that's big enough to cover the can, and I'm basically just going to start rolling it onto the can. Right now, I'm just making sure and cutting it even a little bit smaller so I don't have too much excess to work with. The first thing I need to do is paint this can in the plaster color, because otherwise you're going to see that pattern. I did kind of hold it up and check. If your paper or whatever you're using, if it's like scrapbook paper, you might not see it. But this contact paper is very thin. So I'm just going to start peeling back the backing just a little bit at a time. And on this, I recommend you leave excess on both sides. It's too hard to line up. And once it sticks, you can't remove it and move it around. So I went ahead and got it on the whole thing, and I'm going to cut off the excess. I'm going to use a little blade. And once I cut into it, I'll just lean the blade up against the edge of that end, and it makes a very nice clean cut. You just go real gentle. And I'm just kind of pushing it on, making sure there's no bubbles. And of course, now what I need to do is cut some holes. I'm going to make like kind of funny shaped holes. They're going to be almost like smiles, if you will. So a curve on the bottom and kind of flat on the top. At least that's what I was aiming for. And what we're going to do is make a cute little planter where the plants are kind of falling out of it. So I made 4 holes. I'm going to put in the bottom some plastic bags because I need to fill it up. And now I'm just kind of placing things to see how I think it's going to look. I'm cutting up these little boxwood pics that I got from Dollar Tree. And then I've got some other ones too that I got at different places. So I'm going to put them in the different holes. I'm going to put some more bags in because I'm trying to fill in so they don't fall off or fall in. I'm going to put some really pretty other greenery on the top. Now I'm going to take each one out and I'm going to backfill it with some moss because I want to make sure that you can't see the bags on the inside. I want it to almost look like it's just kind of like flowing out. I think it's such a pretty look. I've seen planters like this and I thought, why can't we make one out of a little chip can? Anyway, this is very lush looking. I love the green against that black and white toile. I think that's a beautiful combination. You could use any pattern contact paper or scrapbook paper, whatever that you like. So let me know what you think. I was really happy with this one. I think it's so beautiful. I hope you like it. For this Dollar Tree chip can hack, I'm going to take another one of these cans. Actually, this is the can I used in the other one, but I did this one in a different order, so this is where I first cut it. So on this one, I'm just going to cut about 1/3 of the can off. And we are going to take the half that has, or the third that has the lid on it. So I'm just going around in a circle, and believe it or not, it came out to the right spot. I was kind of surprised. I'm going to clean out the inside of the can. I did put the chips into a Ziploc bag to save them. And now I'm just going to cut a piece of scrapbook paper that will fit the size that I cut out for this piece. And actually, I've cut off some excess because it's always better to have too much than not enough because you got to start over if you don't have enough. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm going to just put some Mod Podge right on the little piece of the can. Now, by the way, because this scrapbook paper is thin, you don't have to paint the can first. I did check and make sure that you couldn't see through it. So I'm just going to go very carefully around, and you just want to make sure one side is perfectly lined up, which is the one at the very bottom. That's what I picked, because you've got that metal piece to kind of line it up against, which is really nice. So when I get all the way around, there it is. Now I'm going to take my blade and I'm just going to cut off the excess by pushing the blade up against the edge of that top. Now I'm going to put some Mod Podge around the top and make sure that it just sits nice and smooth and that, none of those little rough edges are sitting up. And I cover the whole thing with Mod Podge too. I've got this beautiful, it's kind of translucent ribbon. It's a blue color. I'm going to put that around the little top of the chip can. Then I'm going to cut a circle, and I'm just going to trim it up a little bit so it fits right on top of that chip can. And I'm going to glue it there, and then I'll cover that with Mod Podge too, and that will make the top of the this little can I'm making look really pretty, and it'll match. And there we go, just sealing that all in. And so there's our top. And now what we're going to do is put a little piece of that ribbon at the very bottom. I just thought that would look really pretty to have it on both pieces. And because you can see through it, it doesn't take away from the design. And then I've got another one of these little knobs that I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to glue that right to the top. I'm going to leave it natural wood, but you certainly could paint it. And now you've got a great thing to put your Q-tips or your little makeup remover pads or whatever you want. I thought this was so beautiful, and you could put any color paper or design you want. What do you think of this one? Ready for more inspiration? Here's another video I think you'll really like. If you click on it, I will see you there. You are truly a blessing to me. Bye!